Hello and welcome, everybody, as we are here to bring some amazing Overwatch for you today. I am Rich Red with the amazing Necra here. Necra, how are you doing today for this Get Good Season 4 Intermediate Grand Finals?
Well, it's been such a treat. As somebody that's been able to follow the competition as it's happened throughout the entirety of the Get Good season, it's so incredible to me that not only have these teams made it through 5 whole weeks of Swiss, they've also made it all the way through their playoff bracket that they're battling it out here today.
And like you said, battling through the bracket, and these are teams that actually weren't as high in the ranking for the point scoring system.
Yes.
Both Bandits and Whole Snack were in the lower region. Bandits being 12 and Whole Snack being 14. And they've battled their way through to get to these grand finals, and it is going to be exciting to see these two go head to head.
It really is going to be exciting. And when we look at these teams on kind of like a whole upscale level, look at Bandits, for example. This is the meta for them. They've had a lot of Orisa Sigma play. There's that double barrier. You also have a lot of players in the team that know how to play Lucio, so you're covered on that department. And then, of course, when you look at those DPS choices, Reaper, Mei, no surprise to me if we see either of those DPS in today's match from Bandits.
Well, and even to pick up, on the kind of composition that we've seen from these teams with Whole Snack, we see also the same thing, that Orisa Sigma. But it's interesting to also find that they do have a Pharah player, which is coming out by Lab, which we'll see most likely just a little bit. We've been seeing a lot of it. We saw a little bit earlier on the rookie rosters for that grand final, seeing the two teams battling out. We had some interesting Bastion plays. We had some Pharah in the air with some counter of McCree,
Right.
and especially seeing Orion Zarya composition as well. So that's something that's been very interesting to see, that breaks kind of the typical meta. But again, we're looking at intermediate, which is the 3,000 to just under 3,500 SR rating, where we can see teams potentially lean towards a little bit more of that meta comp, like you said, with the Orisa and the Sigma.
It's possible that we see members in this lobby, though, that are also above that 3,500 mark, because as we've named this tournament Get Good, the entire premise of this tournament is about improving, playing with your teammates, and climbing up the ladder. So I hope that both of these teams in the intermediate division have found some of that maybe extra oomph to get them past an SR barrier that was blocking them before. And I can't wait to see these two teams go at it for this grand finals match.
And again, for those that might not be completely sure of the process that we're going through this, it is going to be first to 3 for this. And our first map will be a control map. And of the two options between Lijiang and Nepal, it's actually going to be Lijiang Tower.
Yes, we are going to have Lijiang Tower here, starting out on Control Center. And what's really interesting about this map in particular is it's going to favor particularly Bandits. We talked about how Whole Snack likes to run the Pharah, but on this specific round, very uncommon to see a Pharah just based on how low the skyboxes are for this particular map of Control Center. So I would hope that they'll have something up their sleeve in order to match that death ball aggression that could potentially come out from Bandits.
Very much. Again, and it's also, you have a little bit of open space when it comes to getting onto the control point, but you are absolutely correct when it comes to the Pharah getting to the position. Those low door frames that really cause a problem trying to maneuver forward with a Pharah, so it definitely is going to be difficult with that Pharah play. And as we start to look in preparing the attack, we do see at least some average coming out with a Reaper, potentially with a Mei that's going to be for Whole Snack here. Wouldn't be surprised if we didn't see it stray too much from the meta, but they're hovering over a couple others. They like to just show off the Winston here, but I mean, with what we've talked about, the Sigma Orisa, the double shield being so relevant and just constantly important to this, you're going to actually see Whole Snack come out with a Reaper Mei versus the Reaper Doomfist.
Yes, we are going to be seeing this Reaper Mei, and when you're looking at these particular DPS duos, they are a little bit different here. The Mei has so much agency for both of these teams. Look at how well it walls off these players, but Oysterheart also getting the first pick of the game.
And shutting down that DPS quickly. Ritz not able to Wraith form out of that to survive through it. TCC going to go down on the opposite side for Bandits. Oyster as well. You see Holsnack getting a lot of momentum here. The accretion on the front trying to get a stun as that Doomfist from the side of Bandits. Daven getting a lot of extra potential in the backside, but does eventually go down. Ritz really trying to exploit this front line, getting some great shotgun shells on that front Orisa as they look to barrel through the Fortify. Consistent damage on the supports. They need to collapse on this, and they're going to clear Bandits from this point.
And this is kind of where these DPS changes and differences between these two compositions make a lot of difference. Look at how well Ritzyuk was able to just clear off these massive takes from the point. With that in mind, red team, they didn't have Daven, who was supposed to be getting some heavy hitting, just one-shot kills. And now with all this agency, you're seeing Holsnack just take control and agency of this point.
And you're going to see Bandits have to fall back on this. There was a lot committed to that. You're going to see the Coalescence. You're going to have the Reaper play up front that's going to cause a lot of harass. And you see now Holsnack with almost a death loss, also leading into a Gravitic Flux and the Lucio Sound Barrier.
Yeah, the Lucio Sound Barrier are going to be an important one to look at here from Matrix, here from Bandits. But I would also take a look at the fact that both teams have Supercharger, and neither Moira is close to that Coalescence yet. Going to be using that Supercharger to just do some raw damage.
And they managed to get it out early so that it prevents the increase, but it still is going to be difficult for Bandits because they had just enough time to at least get the early pick with it and then drop those team members, so Bandits has to regroup.
Bandits is going to regroup, and this was such a good fight outcome here for Holsnack. Logan just had to use the Orisa Bongos, and what it actually did was it allowed the rest of the team to get up their ultimates. So now they're back on a better rotation, and we're still have all eyes on Matrix, on Bandits. That Lucio Sound Barrier is going to make or break the difference on whether or not Bandits can move into this next point.
And they're going to lead with the Coalescence and the extra damage from the Supercharger. That is critical. Now to follow with the Blizzard on both sides. They need to lock down these teams. You see the advantage going in favor of Bandits. Oyster getting a lot more value out of that Blizzard with now David on the front using the Meteor Strike to try and collapse on the back line, forcing them away, transitioning onto this point around that center pillar, and they will clean up here with Holsnack keeping still a plethora of ultimates, and they are going to take it back at 95%.
And Matrix didn't have to use a sound barrier yet. So when you're looking at that plethora of ultimates on Holsnack's side, yes, they have a lot that they can rotate through, but I want to see them in this next engage in order to take this point back, maybe open up with the Gravitic Flux, have Ritzio go into the back line and drop that Death Blossom, but it's going to have to be fat. You got to distract this red team.
Sound Barrier by Matrix, giving them some great buffer to withstand the incoming damage. That Coalescence is going to come out by Atsu to get some assistance, with Tiger also dropping the Sound Barrier, keeping them alive barely with a sliver of health. But you see Oyster still trying to find some early pick on the front with the freeze, using the Cryo Freezing. A lot of damage coming out by Ritz, manages to get one, looking for the Sigma as well. The accretion not there, and the Gravitic Flux won't be up at all for that since it was utilized earlier. 40% for the side of Bandit. As you see it immediately going to be switched over. 5%. I don't know if Bandit's going to be able to make it in time to touch.
You can see Jolong is waiting there, just wants to try to touch this point, but the staggers have already commenced. Bandits struggling to find their footing back on this point now. You even have seen TCC stall over to the Wrecking Ball to spin to win, buy some time for these teammates to come back.
Logan Supercharger still getting value here in the corner. Nobody getting rid of it just yet. That critical factor of an ult economy to try and keep them on this point. 99-41 as Bandits will be able to strip it away by taking out those primary targets and now starting to gain some percentage to contest back.
Gaining some percentage, and this was a great fight for Bandits. They came in and all they had to do was get picks. TCC actually offered a lot of pressure there against Holsnack because no one was able to take down that Wrecking Ball. Now you've got David ready to go with the Meteor Strike, and all eyes are actually going to be on Jolong. How is this Orisa going to use their pull in order to pair it with that Meteor Strike?
They use that halt early, like you said. Can they get the follow-up landing in the back? The accretion going to come out, though, to stun Daven as he has to retreat back, but he goes into the Blizzard, trying to tuck out, does get frozen. Can't seem to just do as much value because of that Blizzard, isolating him away, but now can re-engage. The Death Blossom by Ritz going to most likely come out soon here if they can find the value. The Flux in return by Bandits. TCC trying to get some worth out of it, but can't yield anything. Logan getting the double as they switch it back over, looking to go into the overtime. Nobody going to be there except the Lucio play, instantly picked out, as you can see, by Ritz, with the Wrecking Ball hoping to just touch that inner pillar to spin to win, and it will not matter. That is Holsnack claiming it 100-87 over Bandits.
This was really close, though. I actually commend Bandits for the amount of effort that they used to come back and stall. That was a fight, Rich, they shouldn't have won. Wholesnack had all the ultimates, and of course, as soon as we saw Joe Long come back in with the Wrecking Ball, TCC making that Wrecking Ball choice as well, that was maybe a bit of a desperation move, but it was the right move, and it won Bandits back the point for just a little bit more percentage. Now is where the real struggle begins, though, because in the map of Lijiang, knowing that Wholesnack likes to run a Pharah, this would be the map to do it. You can already see Lab hovering over that Pharah choice. Maybe doesn't necessarily have the best partner for some of that healing and with that Moira, but you'll see that Tiger is using a tried and true strategy, using the Lucio to get that speed boost for the rest of its team, and then switching back over to the Mercy to have a better pocket here for Labradoodle on this Pharah.
Lab raining a lot of damage with that Pharah through those windows. Critical amounts being thrown to the backside, almost getting Oyster, but the accretion also going to come out by Sashwa on the front, hoping to get that kill early and advantage. Nice exchange, but leading in favor of Wholesnack. You see those consistent damage on the front side. Ritz looking for the kill, just raining damage overhead. They have so much up front by the Reaper play with overhead. It's practically a crossfire in this tight position, as it will go in favor of Wholesnack, and seeing some interesting swaps coming out by Bandits.
Bandits already recognize how much of a problem Labradoodle is going to be. Oysterheart doesn't want to deal with this. Oysterheart recognizes that they might be the only chance at dealing with this Pharah, who already has Rocket Barrage. Oysterheart switching over to the Widowmaker, looking to engage and open up an opportunity for Bandits to move in by getting a quick pick on that Pharah, or at least pressuring her enough that the front line of Bandits can really get in and make something happen.
Calus now waiting for that Coalescence to be used to lead into it, and there it is to activate. They get a nice pick, though, onto Ritz by Oyster, switching to that Widowmaker. Rocket Barrage to try and counter. Can't seem to do so by Lab, only gaining one here. 35% still climbing. Numbers advantage by Wholesnack, still maintaining the point, but Bandits really having a great focus, hyper-focusing Lab on the high ground, on that Pharah. The extra close damage, because of this tight position, allows them to get the pick and switch it over.
But that's kind of what I was talking about, though, Rich, right? When we were looking at Bandits' kind of game plan going against Labradoodle's Pharah, what did I say? Oysterheart's going to try to pressure out that Pharah, and that's exactly what Bandits was able to manage. Oyster just made sure Labradoodle wasn't a part of this ground fight, and then the tanks on Bandits popped off. Now they have control of this point, but they got to be careful from behind.
Yeah, they're getting so much damage, not only from the rear, but also the Coalescence on the front, finally dissipating, as Tiger's going to lead with the Valkyrie to give that extra boosted damage from the high ground position, since they cannot get the shot in the sightline, even though Oyster is in the back looking for shots, having the Infrasight, getting a lot of value with that, but still they have to force a regroup here, as it's now 48% and switched back to Snack.
Labradoodle just took advantage of the opportunity. Bandits had their back turned, was able to get the flank, and now they're going to be boarded with a second Rocket Barrage of the game. As we've approached and moved past this 50% mark for both of these teams, this is going to be heavy hitting, but they got to watch out for this Supercharger first.
There's so much damage boosted by into that Coalescence, as you have Daven waiting for that Death Blossom, but most likely will hold on to it. They got so much value with the Coalescence early to follow up that now they're looking to switch it immediately back if they can only clear the last member off this point and still have a decent climb to go at 37%.
Decent climb. Bandits has a lot of tools to be able to keep control of this point, though. Particularly, I'm looking at Matrix once again with that sound barrier, as Bandits is the only one that's running a defensive ultimate right now. Going to do a lot of work, recognizing that Fritzjug probably has this Death Blossom up. Matrix last time hit a big beat, but it's a little early.
And they may be able to survive through it, but Lab getting multiple kills, Rockets raining, pounding the two tanks on the front side, clearing them out as they try to refuse any sort of control with Bandits' defensive positioning, but so much is being brought down. Since those tanks were gone, Wholesnack's easily able to keep this, and now it's desperation mode for Bandits to touch this point.
Bandits are already making some switches. They are trying to get to this point so quickly here. TCC barely manages to get there with a Graphitic, but gets accretioned away.
Gonna get the stun in the window. They try and get the Orisa on the point, but so much damage. Raining the Death Blossom coming out by Ritz, but the counter by Daven trying to make some sort of action happen. The accretion gets the stun, finishing off the Death Blossom. Can't gain any more kills, as Atsu will get enough damage on this point. The healing and damage consistently onto this team to secure it, as the accretion gets another stun onto the Wrecking Ball, but the knockback, the Fade gonna bring them back in, as it is really just a stagger right now to hopefully keep this in line, Necra.
Moira's busted. That's kind of what I'm looking at here and gathering from this specific situation. Look at how well Snack was able to take commanding leverage of this point. All they had was a Sigma and a Moira, and they took out everybody on Bandits for that second round.
I mean, the res too, that was the other in addition when having that Mercy. It allowed you to keep that secondary
Yes.
support. Callus right now getting the play of the game. We see so much presence on that point. It's absolutely critical for the enemy team Bandits to specifically focus on that support play that Whole Snacks has been having, because it's really fueling their overall positional advantage and survivability.
Mercy's been a great choice for Whole Snack as well. Not only does it pair well with the Pharah that they were using as a huge tool in their DPS lineup, but you're right, the Resurrect came in clutch multiple times there, even just sealing the deal on that second round of Lijiang in order to get Whole Snack that first map of the set.
And with us now going into the next map, it is going to be Escort, a choice of either between Havana or Watchpoint. Now, between these two, we saw a little bit of Havana
Rialto.
actually earlier. Yes, indeed, as we do have that as an option for this. And Havana, we saw a little bit of that Pharah play as well, just from the matches earlier in Rookie, utilizing that pharmacy composition, playing a very far forward with a Bastion and Baptiste composition to really lock down the attacking team and taking advantage of it. And I could potentially see Whole Snack doing that.
I could potentially see that too, but because Whole Snack won that first map, Bandits is going to be the one that makes this next map pick. And if we're looking just at the historical data of what Bandits would like to do for this Escort map, Rialto is going to be the game plan. This is a very dangerous position, though, for Bandits, because as you mentioned, Havana being a good Pharah map, let's talk about Rialto being a good Pharah map.
Very true. And the fact that there are so many long sight lines, those balconies, it really gives that hit scan, which we saw Oyster play just slightly, a better opportunity to counter that Pharah play.
Yeah, I mean, this is a very, very interesting situation for Bandits to put themselves in. At least they've taken a bit of a strategical advantage in an Escort map by getting allowed to go on the defense first. A Whole Snack actually looking at taking the attack first, which is a unique approach to many of the Escort map side choices, I guess, that we see teams make here. So it is going to be a bit of a side swap coming up for both of these teams, but it would not surprise me at all, if we saw Whole Snack on the attack go for a Pharah and just take Bandits by surprise.
And again, it's when they're trying to take them by surprise, it's going to be interesting because you want to make sure that you acknowledge that if this is going to be a good advantage early, if it's not, you have to scrap it and immediately change. You want to use as much time to your advantage and not try to overcommit to something. And with how they've played so far, I think that Whole Snack is very aware of this. And if they feel that it's going to be detrimental to them, they'll swap.
I think that's part of the game plan and strategy that Whole Snack is taking here by looking at going on the attack first. You do have so much more agency as the attacking team on an Escort map or a hybrid map because your spawns are just that much closer. So if Whole Snack doesn't know what Bandits likes to run on their favorite Escort map in the pool of Rialto, this is the perfect time for them to implement this strategy because they get to figure out that defensive strat first and find a response to it. And if they don't, then at least they put all their eggs in one basket and they've tried, right?
And with the composition looking like it's going to come out, it will be Daven on the Pharah with the Mercy by Matrix with Oyster on the Widowmaker. And again, with that long sightline and that potential flanking side position with the Rockets is really going to, I think, do wonders for Bandits to try and counter on this initial attack onto Whole Snack.
I think you're right about that. I was not expecting to see a Pharah play coming out from Bandits, but based on what we saw from Whole Snack, I actually love that they can set up this crossfire here on the lower part of Rialto. They're holding a little bit farther back than we expect to see from a lot of teams, but I think this is just because they're giving Whole Snack a bit of respect here. Not necessarily sure what they're going to be coming out of the spawn doors with, but I don't know if they're going to be quite prepared for what's actually come out of the spawn doors. Ritzuk on that Bastion, going to get a chance to just get set up on card here, and really, what does Bandits have to fight against it right now?
The aerial battle being completely separate from what is on the ground, but the ground will have the advantage with that Bastion play, just completely bolstering that payload moving forward. But a nice stun to come out, getting Ritz out of the sentry turret here, just maybe trying to turn the corner to look for some vision, does get it into the courtyard. Atsu helping out greatly on the front side, picking out the tank as they keep pushing this payload into the open space, and that's going to give them a lot of value pushing forward.
Oh, everybody from Holstack got so low there. The accretion from TCC almost able to stop this cart and put a dent into Holstack's plans. But now that they've got Ritzuk set up on the cart, Bandits is just patiently trying to get this rocket barrage up, see if they can soak up some of that damage by one of their front tanks here, but they can't even touch cart. Ritzuk is making it impossible for Bandits to get close.
The halt was just so critical to pull those supports out in the open. Now the Kinetic Grasp mitigating some damage as they get close to try and counter the Bastion, but there's still so much healing by Atsu with this Immortality Field waiting, and Amp Matrix now even with 5 minutes as they reach this checkpoint swiftly, and now wait to see what Bandits are going to reply with.
I am loving teams actually running up Baptiste. Now, Baptiste was one of those heroes that when it came out, everyone was super excited about it, recognized that it had a pretty high skill floor and a very high skill ceiling. And we're starting to see that more and more in the Overwatch world, how much of a unique asset Baptiste really can be to a team. Atsu is making this bunker so difficult to dislodge here. David can't even do it.
Rocket Barrage going to be countered, though, by the Widowmaker. Oyster finding a flank, looking for the triple, almost gets the quad, but Atsu able to at least counter that backline aggression. As you see now, the defensive side of Bandits looking to reset the side of Holstack. They still have some decent ultimate economy, not only with the Bastion tank configuration, but also the Amplification Matrix and Flux.
Let me rephrase here. Bandits, Daven alone wasn't going to be able to get this knockout onto the bunker composition, but used as a distraction, that allowed Oysterheart to just get set up in the back line and rain in shots, almost completely uncontested. Holstack had no kind of option except to just get off the cart or just stay there and just rain in damage. But look at how well Bandits now might have control over the defense of this point.
Now the res will come out, so that's no longer available for this fight. Matrix forcing the Valkyrie to keep this team alive as they have to digress back. 3 minutes and 25 seconds still to push on, but they do get the pick. Daven finding a vision on the back line. TCC forcing the Flux to get a nice stun. Accretion looking for a follow-up. Almost gets Atsu with the recovery and survivability by Sashwa helping those supports. The shield is going to prevent the damage. Daven just still trying to find a kill. Can't manage to do so. Thrashing this back line with those rockets as they hope to pick them out of the sky, and they're really just at a neutral point right now because these Pharahs are really forcing both teams back.
Pharahs are forcing both teams back. It's now time for Labradoodle to make a move, though. Calspuffin doesn't want to let that happen, though. Everybody's getting so low from this Coalescence here, popping up a Mortality Field.
Now with the Coalescence ended, they don't have enough healing to survive through that. You see Jolong going down as they have to fall back and regroup here, and there is a huge advantage of the ult economy on Holstack, and they're going to try and take advantage of this because of how difficult this corner is.
Oh, they've had to layer both huge buffs, though. Not only did they use the Valkyrie here from Tiger, but they also had Logan use the Supercharger, but it was at least enough to scare away Bandits and force them back off of this point to give Holstack some space. But Oysterheart's coming back to this fight, and with the damage boost from Matrix, they were able to pick up some huge kills here.
And Kinetic Grasp still doing a great job by Bandits to mitigate the damage. They're starting to turn it around, and where Oyster gets the pick, Atsu always hyper-focusing that Widowmaker in the backside from Holstack to make sure that they can stick with this. 3 minutes and 25 seconds, trying to just keep this payload still as the Pharah Lab raining a lot of damage overhead because they have that number advantage, still pushing the cart forward.
They were rewarded with some extra time. 3 minutes, though, is almost sometimes not enough to get through the hardest part of Rialto. This third point, you need something that's going to be a bit brawly. At least what Holstack is running maintains a lot of point presence when you have that Bastion and Risa that are just protecting the cart, but Labradoodle taking out the one thing that might have a chance at dislodging this bunker. That Pharah gone.
And they're going to get the second one now onto Oyster, looking to try and push in. The Flux going to be activated from Bandits to try and slow their momentum forward from Holsnack, but the Rocket Barrage comes out to claim one, looks for the second, but TCC able to take down that front line tank. These just consistent tank aggressions back and forth, being stunned by the accretion. Who can get the better position, as now Ritz looks for that opportunity to try and get in a stable position to force these supports back. The Wrecking Ball to come out, trying to get the pile drive and harass, but the Immortality Field, great job here by Atsu to keep Ritz alive, as Daven takes it out quickly, trying to get close, almost has that opportunity to just pick him off in the backside, as Daven finally gets Ritz out of the fight, nearing that opportunity of a Rocket Barrage, but they're still just trying to stall this out.
Still trying to stall it out, still trying to work up to ultimates right now, but we're actually going to give it a Battle Mercy action here. Tiger might have just given Holsnack the advantage they needed within this fight here, using the last bit of the Valkyrie in order to bust in some damage.
Trying to get that Bastion pick. Oyster getting so close, but the Coalescence will put the nail in the coffin, bringing that Bastion down as they look for a flank. Daven trying to go around the corner using the Rocket Barrage, gets one early onto Tiger and follows up. Both supports down. Will not be able to support any sort of healing on these two tanks, as you see the displacement coming out, bringing Sashwa back in the fight to get the pick.
This is where I'm glad to see Holsnack make some team compositional adjustments. Recognizes that the Bastion probably taking too long to get set up here, because while the defense can just sit, a Bastion composition needs at least a couple of seconds to wait for cooldowns to come online, and also just get through the animation of switching from Bastion 76 over to that tank mode, right? So I'm happy to see that Holsnack is coming back with something that's a bit more death volley, that's going to allow them to brawl against Bandits who have firm control of this defense.
No sound barrier for Tiger. It won't be able to withstand that incoming damage from that Flux, as Daven looks to follow up early. Now, the Reaper v Reaper, but the Mei is there to help to try and slow down Lab, doing a great job to assist Ritz on the front. But Oyster opting to go onto the Hanzo, getting so much damage. The Storm Arrows clearing these shields quickly, getting the triple kill in total, and will reset it with 35 seconds left.
Oysterheart not only has shown us prowess now on this Widowmaker, has also shown us what they can do on this Hanzo, and the Hanzo is so strong against this double shield composition that Holsnack is coming back to the point with, because it's just bursting through those shields. Getting rid of the experimental barrier so quickly here from Sashwa is making it difficult for Bandits to just move in with any protection.
Trying to heal every member possible by Callus in the back with the Coalescence. Immortality feels forced to come out. They will no longer have it as the Flux comes out immediately after. Great response, but the Dragon Strike down the center, looking for some kills, manages to get Tiger, hoping for a second, does get Logan, can't dodge out of the way as the overtime continues. Oyster funneling damage through that choke point to try and get the tanks. The rotating shields consistently giving coverage for that back line as they just continue to contest, because the respawn advantage in favor of Bandits. Matrix managing to come up here soon. If they can get it, it'll secure a ton of damage onto the remaining members to force them off this payload. TCC with tons of damage. The now Wrecking Ball comes in from Holsnack to buy some seconds, but won't be enough as the Matrix has done its job.
Third point, always going to be super tough for Rialto, particularly when you have a team that is as competent as Bandits, that is just maintaining control. Holsnack, they made the adjustments that they needed to in order to give themselves a shot, but after a while running that Bastion, you get a little off sync in terms of the ultimates that you should have online. You called it out, Rich. Not having that sound barrier for that last Gravitic Flux coming out from Bandits, that was not necessarily an error, but it was going to make this fight much more difficult for Holsnack than it needed to be.
Oh, it allowed that opening for the Reaper play in the back to just shred through the remaining health value. It was a perfect opportunity to dive in and find that low health target and bring them down immediately. And then the flank coming out by Oyster even further just had insult to injury.
You're right about that one. Oysterheart has shown us the prowess on these two sniper heroes, but it's not even just about hitting those shots and doing the damage. It's sometimes about taking a tactical advantage over the enemy team. And while Holsnack was running something as difficult to play against as that bunker, somehow both Daven and Oysterheart were able to set up a crossfire that was getting through the double shield setup from Holsnack.
You see Ritz with that Bastion play As
Again.
we will look to see them sneak up top on that lovely balcony, where it's going to be very difficult again for Bandits now to try and dislodge this. And coming out with Daven on the Pharah, it's going to be a tall order to try and break that defensive position.
Especially because of how well this Orisa shield just covers this whole vantage point that Ritz has here. Labradoodle, though, getting very low here. David actually is able to pick them out from the skies.
That's a huge advantage. They have to exploit it now as they move forward. A res going to come out. They no longer have that, though, in this fight, so that is a critical focus point if they can get the second time around. But it will be countered immediately. Lab responding back, using that res to its full advantage as there's still 3 minutes and 30 seconds with Wholesnack having to take a good defensive hold and try and have another stab from Bandits.
Bandits at least has had a few rounds of play, a few team fights working against this composition, but I will say this about this bunker. It does so much better on the defense, and you're starting to see why. It's so much incoming damage from Wholesnack. Bandits, by the time they even get a chance to touch this cart, have either gotten picked out by the incoming damage from the Bastion and the Pharah, or they are taking too much damage and they don't have any sustain left for when they actually reach this point.
Lab using that maneuverability along the wall so strategically to keep distance for those rockets. The Immortality field still going to be placed on the side of Bandits to try and survive through it, even though they've already lost Jolong. Another pick by Oyster, looking for the Mercy, can't find it, and now the Orisa comes quickly in the back, looking for the flank, manages to do so, as Sashwa is there to get the execution. Daven still on the high ground, looking to take down that Pharah. Pharah with an accretion, what a beautiful play, mid-air, giving some chances for this regroup on the payload to push it forward, as it is still being contested.
Still being contested, but at this point, Wholesnack is just trying to buy as much time as possible off of this clock. They want to give Bandits as little chance as they can in order to reach that checkpoint that is waiting for them at that third point. Daven, though, has the Pharah barrage. When we look at Bandits and how they're going to continue to make some space here, Jolong just has firm control of this cart now, and David is pressuring back Wholesnack so much so that this cart has some time to round this really aggressive corner where Wholesnack has a bit of an advantage here.
And they will see a quick takedown on Lab. They will force the res once again here, as Daven is now going to consistently look to rain damage. This tank configuration, though, is going to be critical. They have to watch out for this rocket barrage slowly maneuvering towards the window to try and find it, but no, the McCree's going to counter. The res immediately coming out to get Daven back in. Will they look for that jump up here to rocket barrage, as the Amp Matrix is giving so much damage to Ritz? I think they're going to play it safe, as they have too many members down. They have Oyster in the back looking for some shots, can't really gain too much value, and they're going to reset and save the ultimate here.
Good patience and execution coming out from Bandits. Yeah, they could have gone in there saying, you know what, I bet you my Pharah Rocket Barrage is going to do a lot of work here and make up for the two supports that you just took out. But as soon as the supports went down, that was a good call for Bandits to just back up and save this full slate of ultimates that they now have here. Oysterheart may not be able to use their ultimate to give some information, but I think that it's not going to be any surprise where Wholesnack is waiting for Bandits to move in.
Great counter by Oyster, looking for the follow-up onto the Mercy, manages to get it, and the res gonna still come out, though. Lab having good focus fire onto David in the high ground, won't get the pick, though, manages to fade out and just completely retreat from the position, but Ritz is still going to do some major work here with the reposition, since the focus was on that McCree, and now they're out in the open.
Focus is on the McCree, but I almost think that the focus here for Bandits really needs to be on these shields. They were doing such a phenomenal job when Oysterheart was on the Hanzo of getting through the experimental barrier from Sashwa, and then also dealing with the cooldown fear for Logan. They need to mitigate these Mercy reses that are coming out.
Rocket Barrage gaining one, doesn't get much more because Lab hitting the still target of Daven, as they have a flashbang to almost get the follow-up. Both the Pharah and the Mercy now in sightlines for Lab, but they're causing a lot of harasses. Jolong is on the front, keeping that halt active to try and pull them into the sightline once again for some massive amounts of rocket damage as they drop down. Very aggressive here as they just try and hold as much time and run the clock. Not going to be too much as they get staggered away, with a decent Supercharger actually coming out to secure this point even.
Supercharger was a little unnecessary here, but I can understand why they used it. I bet that Jolong ended up seeing maybe some of the outlines of Whole Snack's team just try to come back in. And what that supercharger did was at least bully Whole Snack away from the point, but it also put them in an unfavorable position. Look at how far they have to walk back, and Oysterheart able to get a pick while they do so.
Logan has the supercharger going into this next defensive position, which that boost of damage is going to be so critical. The shots coming in by Oyster, trying to get the follow, but Daven strips it away. Lab going down as they're looking to push this corner. A very difficult choke point here to try and push through if they can hyper-focus their defense.
Hyper focus, that mercy, that Tiger getting so much value with those resurrects. It's basically like taking out 8 members of the team because of how close those respawns are.
Tank configuration ready. They are holding on it. They've got the damage boost from Tiger. They want to be very careful in how they use this. Logan no longer having the supercharge, so they want to also make sure that they've got vision by Lab to use that McCree Deadeye onto both the Pharmacy and the Mercy. With it, Gao trying to retreat back. Lab being respectful of these shields, but the damage going to be very, very quick onto that Bastion. But the Immortality Field's still there, even though they hit the ground as they try to take overhead. Matrix getting a lot of value as now the Deadeye will be there to force back the support, but overwhelmed. Too many numbers by Bandits, taking them out regardless of the respawn advantage by Whole Snack, as they have only the Valkyrie remaining from Tiger to try and keep Sashwa alive, with Oyster sticking close to the payload, trying to find some vantage points to pick them out with that rifle, just quickly unleashing damage onto the support. Tiger just bobbing and weaving through all of this damage right now, Necro.
Tiger's been such a problem for Bandits to deal with, and that's another reason why you gotta focus down that Mercy. Oh my goodness.
And they finally look to get it. That Doomfist so aggressive in the back, securing the pick and halting the time. 1 minute and 30 seconds now for them to reset and have potentially 2 more attempts.
Feel like Bandits should have won that one. They were starting to get the numbers advantage here. Whole Snack just had the respawns at their side, and now they're going to be dishing out the same kind of medicine that they were before. And this is where we also saw Whole Snack have a problem, is when they were starting to run this Bastion composition on the attack, just couldn't find their way through this last little bit of space. Bandits, 1 minute left. Oysterheart opening things up in a big way.
Can they get the res off? They managed to. That Sigma shield is there for coverage. But Daven now in the back, looking for that Reaper pick to try and find the Pharah out in the open. Now having to retreat back with the rest of the team, not wanting to get picked out by those rockets as an even exchange now comes out. But the support is very vital. Tiger no longer being there to help, as Lab still reigns a consistent amount of damage, as Flux now looks to lead in from Bandits, trying to push in. TCC wants to get that accretion, does manage to do so onto Logan, following up onto the Bastion, but they have a return Flux now coming out from Whole Snack. Sashwa able to keep this fight alive in their favor, as there is only 20 seconds to go.
20 seconds to go. Not too much that Bandits can really rely upon in order to make their way through this checkpoint, but Matrix does have an amplification matrix online, but we might have actually just gotten a DC.
I mean, with 12 seconds remaining, this is absolutely unfortunate, especially since you're losing the ultimate 2 going into this. So, with Bandits now on the attack, they are truly going to have to work to get back to this point, not only just to even contest, but to try and have an opportunity to counter. And they do have Collis, though, nearing a coalescence.
Bandits needed that amplification matrix. The one thing that I was looking at in Bandit's pool of tools was that amplification matrix, only because you have this beautiful straightaway that window opens up, and it just allows your team and enables your team to dish out serious amounts of damage, especially when you've got Oysterheart that's been hitting clean shots with the Hanzo, and you've got Daven that needs to work up to that Death Blossom. That amplification matrix just ends up doing so much. So
and how they're going to play this, again, 12 seconds with the reconnect. The biggest thing they have to watch out for is just really the displacement, not only from the Pharah, but also just the halts. They're going to try and prevent them from touching this payload to even bring it into the contestable moment. But now you see, like we said, that respawn advantage also in favor of Whole Snack here. This is probably one of the most difficult choke points to try and push through. And it's going to be a tall order here for Bandits, but hopefully they can coordinate through it and get that coalescence to lead with that extra damage.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, we're gonna wait to see if whether or not this player comes back. But instead of listening to us banter, we're gonna go to a short break so you can enjoy our wonderful intermission music. We'll see you guys after the break.
Hello and welcome back, everybody, as we are about to get into this resume of the fight. And again, it's gonna be like we said. If you just might have missed or taken a step away, it's a tall order here for Bandits to try and come back, losing their Amp Matrix, and hopefully they can yield some value with their Coalescence and potentially the Dragon Strike.
Unfortunately, we were on that small technical break because one of the players on Bandits, Matrix, accidentally DC'd from the game. So just working out those connection issues right now. But before we went to break, we did see Matrix lose that amplification matrix from the Batiste. And we were talking about how this is going to be a difficult comeback for them to make, knowing that they only have one ultimate to really do it with. They need to see Callus Puffin get up to that coalescence like right now. It's going to be such an important tool to really get in and make things happen. And we're actually seeing a Dragon Strike already open things up here. Not too much value from it, though.
They're going to try and, I think, just lead some space to force them back so they can touch it. They've got the Ryan and the Lucio for the extra movement speed. They know they needed to contest it as they try and look for an opportunity in the flanking side. David going to go super far in the back, trying to contest the Bastion, but does get a lot of damage. Has to force the Wraith form. In this choke point, they need to use the pillars and the payload as a defensive position, as Ritz will take down Jolong. Tank configuration coming out to try and lay down the law with that damage as they see the side position. David gonna go down, a quick double tap of that tank to secure it with Tiger hoping to survive with this Valkyrie. The res gonna come out by Lab, and now they start to have the just great defensive hold here by Holesnack to prevent it. And what an unfortunate disconnect timing, allowing Holesnack to have a great advantage on that last hold.
Yeah, I mean, there were some other reasons why Holesnack was able to keep that defensive stronghold going. And a lot of that had to do not only with the amount of pressure from the Bastion, but also the Ferret in the skies. This straightaway is really dangerous for any attacking team to move in on, just because the defense is already set up. They don't have to do anything in order to just rain in damage. Whereas for Bandits, if they want to run anything at all, they have to wait for setup, and the shields are already taking damage themselves. They're already taking damage, and it's super difficult to just heal your way through that in some cases.
And now, with it going to be in favor of Holesnack, having 2 points going forward again, it is 1-3 here. So this could be the last map for Bandits going into Assault, or they're going to be able to bolster themselves up so they can bring an entire reverse sweep here. But with that being said, we are going to go to a brief break just before we get that third match underway. So we will look to see you back in just a moment, friends. Hello and welcome back, friends, as we are going to see if Whole Snack will be able to finish it off, or we'll have a complete changeover where Bandits claims the last three. Necra, this is going to be interesting as we go into Temple of Anubis, and what do you think Bandits are going to have to do to really turn this around?
Bandits was using a specialist in David, and now they've swapped it out for just a little bit. Also saw Matrix take a little bit of a DC in that last map. So Bandits swapping things up here, bringing in MCE for David and having Aang come in for Matrix. This is a telling to me that Bandits has a particular strategy that they'd like to use on Anubis that Holstack might have to watch out for.
And again, I greatly agree, especially with that DC. They really want to not risk it. I feel in this moment they can't really risk it. Maybe there's some skepticism of the internet connection, so you never want to have that going into this because it's a tall order for them to take all three of these maps to switch it over from Whole Snack. And as we go into this, it's again, we see a lot of variation to this. We've seen some Pharaoh, we've seen some Widowmaker, we've seen, of course, the bunker composition with the Bastion, which Whole Snack is, again, still very dominant in with this type of Bastion play. So that's one thing to really look out for as well going into this map selection.
The Bastion is good, but it's super risky to run the Bastion on Anubis because we've seen teams fall victim to bad rotations.
True.
And that leads to just sometimes other teams snowballing the point. So Holstack's going to have to be careful to make sure their rotations are clean and they're succinct.
And we even saw it in a lot of, other open division dynamics where once they're on that middle high ground, trying to rotate back to that lower back position or the elevated back line position on the left-hand side from the defensive position, it's really difficult for them to try and get a foothold and are just overwhelmed by the attacking team by just the aggression and potential opening of a Reaper Doomfist or just the isolation with a Mei wall that lifts the Bastion outside of the shield coverage.
And Reaper is such a strong choice for teams to run into a Bastion with. Not only do you pair that generally with either a Sigma to soak up some of that damage, or maybe even a D.Va. Maybe we'll see D.Va come back into the meta, who knows. But it allows teams to just get wholesale damage on the enemy team, and sometimes you get lucky enough to pick up enough damage that your teammates can pick something off, but almost really want to see Bandits go for more of a high pick composition. We saw them show off a little bit of that when you ended up having Oyster Heart on the Widowmaker or the Hanzo, and then also showing off some of that Doomfist play in the first map that we saw these two teams go at it with. So having those high pick compositions allows Bandits to maybe get a numbers advantage in a fight where they might not be favored because of ultimates.
And with Oyster showing the Hanzo, it could be a very relevant pick here going into this, especially if they do try to, maneuver around the side corridor to try and get a really good collapsible advantage on that middle high ground. Just that shred damage from the Storm Arrow, the vision around the corner to see where the positioning is. And it's one of those things where I think that it can be very critical to them to use that type, since we've already seen Oyster excel on the Hanzo play.
There's so much shield break potential there. And I'm even looking at some of the icons that are in lobby, and maybe we're going to see some Junkrat play come out here from MCE. I'd be pretty excited to see it. But before we get into that, we are about to go into Temple of Anubis, seeing some side swaps as well as those roster swaps coming in from Bandits. So it is going to be Whole Snack on the defense to start off and Bandits on the attack. So Whole Snack is looking to finish this one out quickly.
And again, they're in a good, confident position. They know that they're on their third map. They've already done a substantial amount of work over Bandits to try and exert their dominance in that sense. And, with this assault map, we do see it extend out multiple attempts. This is one of those maps that we consistently see it occur. So it's really going to rely on just mental stamina and just the rigor of this map in and of itself.
A lot of times on 2CP, we will see teams, particularly that are evenly matched, go into extra innings all the time. It's almost a matter of time for teams to just get an overwhelming number of ultimates, maybe 5 or 6 online, and just cycle through those with a lot of finesse in order to take advantage of the second point, which often will bring us into those extra innings. But what Whole Snack is trying to do on this defense is just completely shut Bandits down. They're going to bring out that bunker composition again. They have Atsu back on the Baptiste. That was such an integral part of this composition. And then you also have Labradoodle now that's going to be showing us that Mei once again, that Mei, especially on point A of Hanamura, or point A of Anubis, excuse me. I guess A of Hanamura as well. But for both of those point A's of the assault maps, Mei just becomes such a powerful force for the defense because you could just cut people off from moving in or just completely disrupt their game plan of approaching point A.
And as they're on that middle ground, the timing needs to be critical from Lab. Like you said, just being able to cut that team off, as Bandits now will look to have Oyster on the Widowmaker. Both of the shields will come up. They don't actually sever any members for the side of Bandits, so that was a little early, I would think, from the Mei wall, so that they couldn't get the advantage, but both shields going to mitigate a lot of it. You see MCE, though, getting very low in the back, almost being brought down, has to force the raid form for a regroup, and a consistent flow of damage also onto Callus as they rotate and are now on an even playing field. This middle ground going to be a battlefield across the bridgeway, but Oyster gets an early pick onto Lab. Much value. They no longer have that just slow and just complete crowd control as we are now going to continue pushing forward. Widowmaker, Oyster on the attack for Bandits, just still trying to find some silence as they play that inner corridor and are very aware of that sightline right now.
Very aware. They're playing around it so beautifully, though, on Whole Snack. But they've put themselves between a rock and a hard place here, namely that Accretion just going in and bursting this bastion apart.
Whole Snacks, again, just trying to maintain in that room with the health pack, but it's not going to be enough. They are just completely boxed in, overwhelmed by Bandits as they come close. Anyone that tries to bypass out the doorway, picked off by Oyster once again here on Tiger, as they will take this point and move with a hefty time bank of 5 minutes and 30 seconds to point B.
That's so much time, and this is why we see teams, again, that are evenly matched find a way to just overwhelm their opposing team with ultimates. Oysterheart likely going to use the Widowmaker ultimate here, get some sights on the enemy team, maybe see if they can get a quick pick, but then potentially switch off. You need to see teams moving into this second point have some point presence here and also not be so flimsy against something like a Reaper.
And now they know Ritz is on that high ground looking for a flank. The Nano Boost going to give some value if they just will be close enough, but you see Bandits very respectful of that early double pick, and they're going to reset, and that Nano is really not going to gain much value from Tiger.
That Nano was hoping to get Ritz that Death Blossom so that they would have that massive tool here, but they have a bigger tool in Whole Snack's pocket. It's going to be Labradoodle's Blizzard. Really nothing that Bandits can do against it right now. They don't have the sound barrier up quite yet, and this Gravitic from TCC, I don't know if it's going to be enough here against the Supercharger.
Logan getting so much extra damage for the team, but you do see Oyster finding it quickly, taking it down as the now Blizzard comes out from Lab. So low, barely surviving the shots by the Widow on Oyster, as it won't be enough to bring that crowd control down, as they are able to stabilize with 4 minutes and 20 to go.
Usually whatever team gets that Blizzard up ends up winning the team fight, and that's exactly what Labradoodle was able to do for Whole Snack. Now, looking at the Gravitic Flux here, rotating that through with the Coalescence, they don't have the Supercharger online, so that's really where Bandits is able to take a huge win here if they can get through with this opening pick that Oysterheart has created.
And with that Reaper play, it's constantly stressing Oyster in the back. Can't find that sight line as you have Callus on the front trying to contest against that Coalescence, who's giving a lot of survivability here for Whole Snack as it finally dissipates away. MCE going down with Oyster, trying to keep an even balance of numbers as they have the respawn advantage in favor of Bandits. Now, Callus in the back, looking to try and get some picks. They steadily just whittle away at Whole Snack on this defensive side as they just need to keep focus on these picks as they're coming out of the spawn.
They are getting those picks as well. Oysterheart is going completely uncontested. Rich can't even get away. Oysterheart, please.
Triple quad coming out onto the Doomfist. Nobody able to consistently touch and stay on this point. The Wrecking Ball now opting to at least buy some time, but Oyster having a field day on this high ground in the back. Can they consistently pick off the remaining members as they have the point presence? Coalescence now leading in to secure it as they have at least some sound barrier by Tiger to maintain point presence on the defensive side, but it is slowly but surely whittling away as the offense from Bandits is being just so overwhelming. The Reinhardt, though, actually going to get a decent double kill as they return into this. That quick charge allowing them to be in with Ritz and the Death Blossom. Can they get the value? The shield is there as the Flux looks to isolate them away. Two members still contesting as Oyster is on the high ground with the Infrasight, and it won't be enough anymore from Holstack as Bandits completes round 1.
Bandits almost could have been able to complete that faster had they had a bit more point presence, but of course, as I say that, Oyster ends up getting the 4K. That was incredible to watch. And Holstack, they have their work cut out for them for this attack.
They really do. And it's threatening to see Oyster have that much presence if given the opportunity to do so.
Vidowmaker, Hanzo,
Yes.
doesn't really matter what Bandits is playing in those DPS slots because you know that Oysterheart's going to take full advantage of the opportunity. And going over to the defense now for Bandits, this is going to be a tough sell for Holstack because Oysterheart may just be able to sit uncontested in that nest. And who's going to touch him?
But we see MCE saying what you thought, and there's going to be a Junkrat coming out with Oyster pairing with the Widowmaker again. This is going to be interesting.
When your player profile is of Junkrat, like your profile picture, there's
That's
just
kind of an indication.
I feel like that says one of two things, right? Either you love playing Junkrat or you love playing Junkrat. So that definitely doesn't surprise me that MCE is going to be using this Junkrat here, and this is so smart for Bandits to do. Let Oysterheart be the distraction here. Let Holstack not realize that there is a Junkrat on your team. And then guess what? Nades.
Lots of them. Lots and lots of them, as they do have Oyster looking to try and get a decent sightline here through that choke point. The Maywall going to block the vision as they try to stagger to the side here to try and contest on that middle high ground as we saw on the reverse positioning. But Oyster taking advantage of that archway once again to get the advantage from where the positioning of Holstack is moving from the front side as they just look for an opportunity of damage by MCE.
MCE using those Junkrat nades, concussion mines to reposition themselves here, which is giving him a unique angle on the team. But you can also see how the architecture of the map can be a bit of a problem here. And the way that Holstack is playing this, they're mitigating all of the advantages that Bandits is trying to make with their DPS choices.
Great coordination to maintain that, like you said, just really preventing any sort of advantage with the composition that you see as they're just generating these ultimates, looking to make sure that Atsu has it. The Riptire going to gain 2, though, on both tanks, and that is just going to be a very difficult recovery as you see the numbers start completely going in favor of Bandits.
MCE may have lost their life in that fight, but the double kill on the Riptire made all that sacrifice worth it. MCE going to be able to come back here before Holstack has a chance to regroup, particularly because of those late staggers that we saw Bandits just get onto Holstack. Now, Holstack is recognizing this is going to be a tougher fight than they imagined. That Junkrat, because of that spam pressure, Holstack's going to have to step it up a notch. Labradoodle, though, not going to be able to get the work done on this new choice that they've brought to this team composition.
Keeping that shield up on the front, and with the Widowmaker finding some sidelines, Oyster getting Ritz as well. They're going to have to full retreat here. They cannot manage to stick in this and wander about as it's going to be 2 minutes remaining, and Lab looking to try and get some value on this Doomfist.
Doomfist's entire purpose in this composition is to just get a quick pick here, but Oysterheart, with this one pick potential as well, is just dominating the DPS game.
Right out of the gate, you see that pick, and now they're going to opt back to go to the Mei. They cannot compete with that comp as they will switch back. The side of Holstack doing a great job to respond to this to try and counter as they've got 2 minutes still to go.
2 minutes is a lot of time to work with here, but they still have to find a way to mitigate Oysterheart, and now they've got all of the agency right now. And MCE, oh my goodness,
There is just so much value being gained by this Junkrat on this point. The early pick potential is so important. And if it doesn't come from MCE, it's going to come from Oyster.
Either one of them. It doesn't really matter what the threat is on Bandit's side. Wholesnack still hasn't found a way to just keep the team safe. Nades going over the top of shields, bouncing off of walls, hitting you from angles you aren't expecting. How do you also deal with Oysterheart that's just been taking so much advantage of the high ground, the verticality on this map, and the angles in order to get quick picks before Wholesnack can even move in? We haven't seen a clean team fight yet.
Aang going to get an early kill immediately after that Junkrat damage as they get a second to follow up with the concussion mine. Still getting a lot of shots and triggered a trap on the inner wall. Oyster just giving so much coverage as they try and force the point. As there's only 40 seconds left, this is last fight territory.
Last fight territory. Wholesnack has been rewarded though for their work with a few ultimates. Labradoodle trying one last desperate play. Oh, okay. They were gonna try the Symmetra play just to try to bypass as much damage as possible, but recognize that the Maywall might be a bit more of a better choice here. Wish they hadn't given up all that ultimate charge though, but they're still coming in with 5 ultimates.
There's an early pick, even exchange, though they do get MCE out of the fight. Rit's gonna go on the high ground to try and contest this. It brings the Widow to the low ground. Death Blossom coming in, trying to keep presence on the point. Does get, Aang out of the fight early. As they start to take this point, they need to keep that damage flowing on the front line as that Supercharger tries to aid them from the side with Jolong, as it will fade though. No longer having that extra boost as Ritz now is going to try and just focus so much damage. The Wrecking Ball just completely displacing any remaining member from Bandits, and they are just struggling to get back to this point as a beautiful sound barrier comes in from overhead, making sure that they have enough protection to withstand this, as it's now going to be a 5 versus 2 advantage holding on this point, but still contesting because Wholesnack can get in with Ritz on the Tracer. That gap closes gets so important and pivotal for them to keep in this fight as the Supercharger still boosts the damage here, Necro.
Supercharger going to boost the damage, just trying to work up to an ultimate that they might be able to use to just secure this point, but Bandits is making it so hard. TCC coming back on the Wrecking Ball has bought so much time for the team. They could have fought this out, but Bandits does not want to get punished by trying to stall this point out. Oysterheart not going to be able to join the fight as quickly as Wholesnack wants to move in.
And they have the reset now on the Sigma, just because they're not looking to stall it out. They've got 2 minutes and 45 seconds to work with, going back to the Reaper as well, and really going to try and use this to their advantage with that close engage and the Blizzard as well.
Blizzard is going to be a huge tool here. We talked about this already before. Whenever we see a team have a Blizzard and they end up getting a chance to land it, that's usually the end of the team fight for the team that used the Blizzard. So, Bandits gonna have to look out for that. TCC might be their only chance to just eat up this Blizzard and not allow Wholesnack to snowball this point.
Bandits funneling damage there just around the pillar, knocking it off the wall as the Coalescence keeps a lot of survivability. Here comes the Riptire over the wall, going into the Blizzard, trying to get some value, but will get taken down, not gaining any value, with Wholesnack swiftly cleaning every member off this point. A great stun, triple kill here by Sashwa, as the Wrecking Ball is the only one remaining for the side of Bandits. TCC will not be able to keep in that fight, but now they've opted for the D.Va and the Lucio riding the wall here to try and keep it into overtime. Respawn advantage still in favor of Bandits to try and keep this alive, as it's just really going to be a staggered fight. But Oyster doing some serious work on this Tracer, along with now MCE on the Junkrat.
Oysterheart, how many heroes can you actually play at this level? Because not only now have we seen the Hanzo and the Widowmaker, we're also seeing a Mei. We saw this Tracer just take commanding control of this defense, and that was a huge play for Bandits because it's leaving Wholesnack with 1 minute left. Their hopes were riding on Labradoodle, using this Blizzard and taking the point. Now really only have a sound barrier here. With a minute left, this could potentially be last fight.
Trying to fall back. They see the aggression coming out from Wholesnack. They don't want to slip up here, as the high ground's going to be obtained by MCE. They're looking to get that Riptire quickly. MCE has to have it for these early picks as they fall back. They've got 1 tick so far with 50 seconds to work with, as Ritz now is going to aggress in the backside just at the doorway. Triple kill!
No.
Unbelievable execution on the ultimate. That's what I was saying. They had to get it. MCE needed the ultimate, obtained it, and got 4 with 35 seconds now left.
Can we talk about the fact that this is now the second Riptire within the last minute that we've seen MCE accumulate? was
so
we
much
didn't even
damage.
see it one fight ago.
So much damage. It's
Yeah.
unbelievable.
Yeah, it is such a hard ultimate to play against sometimes because what DPS do you really have on the side of a whole snack and that can just snipe a tire out of the way, right? So it's finding extreme value here, and the spam damage continuing to get whole snack so low before they can move in. Look at the Maywall.
Wall going to block the Coalescence. They're not going to have enough healing through it as Lab does go down. Blizzard to execute the remaining members, but Ritz with the Death Blossom trying to keep it alive. And Sashwa working in tandem, the two of them, the Accretion gaining the crowd control needed with Logan's Supercharger just boosting the damage. It will stay in overtime, but with the entire team kill, a contest happening with the Wrecking Ball, but instantly brought down, so they will bring it to another round.
Another round, and it was almost as if we were telling the future, Rich, because extra innings are almost a necessity, a requirement at this point for teams that play on 2CP.
It really is. It never fails. It never fails, and now as we go
Never.
into it, it's going to be Bandits again. Since it did go into the overtime, Whole Snack will not get a time bank here.
That's
And
true.
it will have to be Bandits claiming only one tick on this attacking side for point A. They have done a very significantly quick engage, as we saw the time prior, so there's a lot riding on the shoulders of this defense from Whole Snack to prevent it, and could bring it into a draw.
This is still a drawable situation for a whole snack. Yes, Bandits has 2.5 minutes on the clock, and they only need to get one tick. But we saw how long it took both of these teams to capture that first point. Particularly Whole Snack really struggled against the defense that Bandits was running. And Bandits is dishing out the same thing as what they were given on the defense for their attack. And it's going to be that Widowmaker and that Junkrat, that tire, something that Whole Snack is going to have to look out for.
And with Oyster hovering the Widow, it's a good call because they can just deal so much damage onto that middle high ground. But they really got to watch out for that Doomfist play, because if they get the aggression in the back line onto these supports and displace these tanks, it's going to be a lot of value for them.
Tanks, big targets, big meaty targets here, but they are already recognizing on Whole Snack who they need to take out of this fight, and MCE going down first.
GCC going to go down as well here on the opposing side as they keep a lot of pressure in that corridor. Logan's still accelerating forward with that damage in that Gatling gun, so it'll bring them to a reset here on this defensive side, and still have 2 minutes to work with and a decent charge of ultimates.
2 minutes to work with. Haven't quite been able to work up to an ultimate yet, but it is well worth noting that Atsu, the Moira for Whole Snack, has already basically gotten that Coalescence online, and they're outpacing Callus Puffin in doing so. You could tell that they were doing a lot of damage in that last fight, as well as a significant chunk of the healing. So that Coalescence is going to be big here for this next push-in.
Leading in with it to try and get the advantage to hold on this defensive side, with now Lab getting MCE out of the fight. That huge amount of explosive grenade damage is critical for them, but Callus will take down Lab. No longer having that aggressive play style with the Doomfist. As you see Whole Snack now having to turn the corner and play extremely defensive. Hulk going to bring them out in the open, though. They have to force the fade. Atsu barely surviving and sticking outside of the flux, but so much value is going to be yielded from it as Ritz, the last remaining member here with the tanks, trying to just hold for dear life, with Lab hoping to get into this fight to contest it, as it's so many members of Bandit looking to secure this point with the Meteor Strike generated from Lab, but can't get any sort of value as the Supercharger will now come out. Jolong boosting the entire team of Bandits, which will be able to claim victory here, bringing us into a now map 4 of Hybrid.
River sweep, question mark? Do we get a map 5? Will we be so
right?
lucky in this intermediate grand finals of Get Good EU? I hope so. Now that MCE has joined the mix, I think it's possible.
It really is. I mean, a great demonstration of play coming in, and it's also something a little bit unique that Whole Snack was not really looking, I think, to see in this fight at all. And you know, that uniqueness of the playstyle and the character pool can really cause a lot of problems. And even further, we've already seen it go to map 5 earlier in the rookie category, and we could see it here, like you said, today in the intermediate.
Well, when we're looking at the grand finals here for Get Good in both EU and NA, you're looking at the best of the best in the division. They've already proven themselves working through 5 weeks of Swiss, 10 games
Mhm.
total, also having to work their way potentially through the Fight for Redemption bracket as
Mhm.
well as the playoff bracket. These teams have been tested against each other time and time again, and we're seeing the absolute best that each division has to offer.
And now with the next selection, it will, like I said, be a hybrid map. It is a selection between Kings Row, Hollywood, and New Bonnie. And as they look to select it, I honestly think it could be. I mean, I think they might select Kings Row here.
Kingsrow would be a good choice, particularly for bandits. I think bandits gets a lot of architectural advantages.
Mhm.
A lot of times when we're looking at kind of historically how Kingsrow has progressed as in terms of a meta,
Mhm.
Junkrat used to be there at some point.
True.
So
And,
I would love to see MCE take advantage of that if they can, but this is a unique choice for Whole Snack to make
and
in
it
this
looks like
instance.
we're going to actually have a swapped sides too for this. So it will be, I believe, the team of Whole Snack actually on the attack here. And it'll be interesting to see how the defensive play first is going to come out from Bandits on this map of Kings Row, with it being the selection for them.
Yeah, bandits probably. I mean, it depends here, though. In a lot of ways, there are advantages that come with taking the defensive side first, but we
Mhm.
already saw how Whole Snack on Rialto decided to go with the attack first, and it worked out for them.
True.
Almost as if like they were able to set the goalpost for the escort map, right?
Mhm.
So I actually like how some teams decide to take that strategy of setting the goalpost, and so if bandits decide to go on the attack first, then they have all that control there.
And again, with that Junkrat play, as we've said, it used to be very relevant on the map. There are a lot of high ground positions that can really give great vantage points for either ricocheting those grenades off the walls or just really keeping a lot of damage in those vital choke points on that major entrance
Mhm.
or through the hotel high ground in the window port.
Any of those vantage points would be good, and that's actually why we are, I think, seeing a switch here from bandits. MCE might have just been the Junkrat specialist they wanted to bring in for Anubis specifically,
Hmm.
and now that we're going over to Kings Row, David's coming back in the mix here, and well, how could I miss that Kings Row just so happens to be another one of Farrah's playgrounds?
And it's great for them to play to this strength right now. They really
Yeah.
want to try and take it 1-to-1, and we've seen a very even play of the Pharah with that pharmacy composition. And it's not like Davin's been outmatched by any means.
Yeah.
And playing that architectural structure, like you've talked about earlier, is going to be very vital.
The windows, great vantage point for Farah. Just peeking your head around the hotel. Even better vantage point for Farah. Plus, you have these surprise flanks that Farah can take, maybe just going behind point or surprising the enemy team as they move in. Double shield's going to be very difficult for Whole Stack to play in this scenario because, especially on the attack, they're going to
Mhm.
want to go in and just get aggressive, and they might not remember that Bandits wants to run a Farah.
And it's very true. And you might even see a Bastion again. I mean,
Maybe.
with that switch back in onto Davin because they've seen that far presence, the Bastion could be a very good counter. But as we kind of also touched on too for the assault map, that rotation is very critical. If you
Mhm.
see that aggression and just explosive damage trying to break down the shield to contest against it, or finding the elevated position for a rocket barrage when it is back online, can be very detrimental to that type of Bastion play going into this. With Whole Snack being very confident on the Bastion, it could still be difficult.
There's a couple of team compositions we've seen come out from these two teams that are playing in the intermediate grand finals. Hull Snack shown us a bit more of a rotation in the things that they do like to
Mhm.
play, showing prowess not only on that bunker composition with the Bastion, but also the Farah compositions and just regular double shields. Bandits has also shown us some unique strategies and experiences for playing against those types of compositions. The Junkrat maybe being one of the more unique ones that we've seen from any of these Get Good teams. But probably no Junkrat coming out this time. Bandits gonna take the attack here on Kings Row, and Whole Snack has to set up for that defense where really wouldn't surprise me if we saw another Bastion.
And as we wait for those teams assembly, We're probably going to even see that early Widowmaker shot that comes out on the attacking side just to
Oh
get
yeah.
that potential quick pick. And with
Oh
how
yeah.
Oyster's been playing, it'll be lovely to see if they gain some value here. And like you said, it's one of those things where only once we see these player icons in a matter of seconds for us to be able to surmise a plan which Ritz is going to pick up the mantle of the robots and make sure to play that Bastion.
Bastion, Pharah, setting up that crossfire again. There's just so much potential for this team composition to get what Holsnack wants to accomplish here, which is the full hold. They want that win. They want that map win because it means that they're going to go home. They get good EU intermediate champions. So if they have anything to say about it right now, Rich, it's they want to shut down Bandits right here, right now, not even give them a chance at this attack.
The other dynamic is to make sure that they're not going to be too rattled right now. They had the victory in their grasp on the assault map, and now they're going into this fourth map saying, all right, Bandits is kind of pulling it together a little bit, and we need to be very aware of how they're playing to not throw this right now.
Daven not even going for the Pharah that we saw them hover over here on the attack. This is a unique perspective that Bandits is taking to the approach of this map. The long flanks, though, for them, I don't think is going to work out the way that they hope they do. You can see how much time Bandits is taking to figure out how they want to approach this.
They're doing a great job mitigating the incoming damage with the shields, but you're going to see a nice early pick onto Tiger. No support for that Pharah play. Lab is going to have to be careful in their positioning with a great follow-up, though, to change it over. Daven, there it is. That pick onto the Pharah. No healing accessible as Ritz tries to keep just behind that shield and the vehicle on the inner wall as the Accretion looks to try and shut down Daven. Can't seem to get the pick as the damage comes through, but the Baptiste is there having so much healing, but not going to be enough, and the Immortality Field not available as they just look to clear them off this point. Beautiful job from Bandits, and Daven doing some serious work. Kinetic Grasp not going to hold strong enough as TCC gets the kill and starts to claim this point.
Did you see the Daven dance? That's the Daven dance. Just waiting for that prime opportunity to go around that car where Holsnack was using to defend that point and just get up some of that damage. And then okay, just doesn't matter that there's a Bastion. David just doesn't care. Just walks right into it, and it continues to show us why this Bastion setup is just not going to work here for Holsnack.
It was really the awareness, too, of the Immortality Field as they look to continue taking the advantage to the side of Holsnack. They want to give a lot of space for this payload to move through that streets phase. They already are about to have the infrasight coming out here by Bandits Oyster to make sure that they've got vision on these and looking for that quick pick potential, but they're going to hold off on it. They're going to wait. They want to have Daven with this Death Blossom as well before they engage.
Bandits has a lot of tools that they're working up to, but I'm looking at the enabler of those tools, the activator, Jolog's pull. There's a couple of ways that Bandits can really play this, and they're going to take their time now just because there's a bit of a pick here, which is going to put Bandits at a bit of a disadvantage. But you could either pull into the Death Blossom, or you could really slow things down and wait to pull away from, and maybe some of this damage, like Labradoodle going in and getting a punch.
It's a great reset. It's a good thing they didn't force out the Coalescence, and that really shows restraint by Calus to make sure that they didn't invest that in that critical moment and just allow themselves. They know they've got 4 minutes and some decent time to work with.
Same thing goes for here, though. The Orisa Pole is going to be the biggest tool that Bandits has at their disposal right now. It wouldn't even look at really the bongos quite yet, but are you going to pair that pull with this Death Blossom or this Gravitic?
The Flux will get a nice follow-up with Daven, picking one up in the rise and another on the fall, as there's still 3 minutes and 30 seconds. The extra damage from the Supercharger still present, as it will look to turn this final corner to reach this checkpoint with still 2 ultimates, specifically the supports.
I would have liked to see Bandits wait to use that Supercharger. They already did so much damage with that Death Blossom Gravitic Flux combination alone that you would have had another combination online, and that's going to be that Supercharger Coalescence. But I guess if Oyster Heart's going to get a pick for you, then maybe you don't need to use them quite in the right order.
They have to fall back here. That's going to just allow them to freely reach this checkpoint. No real problem. Giving them 4.5 minutes to turn this last corner, which, again, for this King's Row map is extremely difficult.
Very difficult, but you can see how the DPS are actually opening up a lot of space for this cart to move. And it's buying a lot of time and distractions of the front line to get set up the way that they want to.
Landing in the back, almost getting the kill onto TCC, but surviving through it. The supports are near, but Lamb just will get the follow-up onto Oyster after the Meteor Strike. Had the aggression on TCC, now gets the follow-up even further onto TCC, and will fall back. They have the Supercharger. They're sitting pretty. Both support ultimates going to come up in addition at a stack of 5 for Holsnack.
I'd like to see Holsnack's DPS allow the tanks to create the space. I talked about how the DPS are doing that, but watch out for Ritz right now.
Alt going to get to the Meteor Strike. The sound barrier is there as Ritz comes in with the Death Blossom, but Oyster saying, I'm sorry, friend, not going to happen, as it's 3 minutes and 30. The damage by Atsu in the back just generating enough. The flashbang going to be just completely unworthy as the just maneuverability from Lamb knocks them too far away. Logan soaking damage. The Fortify is there. They cannot heal through it as the pressure comes in hot with this change onto the McCree. The flashbang to land to stop the movement of the Doomfist as 3 minutes and 10 remain with a short distance to complete now.
I'm just keeping a rotating tally of the number of heroes we've seen Oyster Heart play. It's gotten up to like 2 hands worth of heroes, right? But this is where Oyster Heart can really take advantage of this McCree, maybe take advantage of this high ground. Look at the flank they're getting. They've got High Noon up too.
Logan placing that Supercharger very far forward. They finally take it down. Aang able to respond to it. Even though they get a lot of value, they had placed it very aggressively. With Oyster trying to survive, can't manage to do so. And on this defensive position, regardless of those early picks, you see Holsnack now forcing Bandits to completely abandon their positioning because they cannot allow them to generate any more ultimates, as they're now already being able to whittle down 2 minutes on the clock.
Supercharger, Coalescence, Bandits has such an opportunity to use that combination of ultimates here, and then maybe see if Oyster Heart during that chaos can get into the backline and use the High Noon. Bandits really wants to secure this point here.
Grecian coming out to try and get a stun. It will take down Jolong's Supercharger with the follow-up by Lamb. The Deadeye will gain it, but the Meteor Strike able to counter, taking him down with the assistance by the frontline tank of the Sigma. Opening some space. Respawn advantage now with that Wrecking Ball. Logan hoping to touch it, but no, they boop it back and they won't touch it as the round completes for the side of Bandits.
That was a great reaction time by Aang, just to double check, just to ensure that they were going to secure that 3rd point of King's Row, and they did it with time to spare. So Bandits now in an incredibly good position to maybe win this map and tie up this series. Holsnack, not too happy about that. They're going to have to come up with some sort of game plan to ensure they have at least some time left on this clock and they secure all 3 points so that they get a second chance in this series.
I'm going to love to see Pharah play on Daven on this defensive side.
Yeah.
I want to see it.
I want it.
Because honestly, with the amount of damage that they can pump out in this choke point more specifically, and again, the verticality, like we've said, it's going to be very beneficial to them. And under 2 minutes, in the grand scale of things here, is a very good time bank.
There is a decent time bank. 2 minutes, just so much to work with here. And man, that means that, you know, Bandits has an opportunity to maybe try out something that isn't the most ideal, but they at least will have some time to just like come back and make an adjustment if they need to on these 2nd and 3rd points of King's Row. But what an interesting strategy potentially coming out from Holsnack here. I'm very curious to see if they decide to keep this Bastion.
I mean, even further, I mean, they're hovering the Hanzo. They're probably only going to do it just for that Spectral Arrow to get some vision on what the composition is. But you see Bandits playing more reserve here, not wanting to give that types of intel for an opportunity for a pick.
Hanzo, Sonic Arrow, gonna give a lot of information here, but maybe not that much. Bandits actually scouts out that this could be a strategy. They're waiting for their time.
And Lab has the Symmetra. They're trying something a little bit more bold in their selection as they try to press on. Lots of damage. Atsu taking down Jolong super early as Ritz is way on the high ground up top with a teleporter near the statue. Getting such a great vantage point, and they have to play around this hotel. No opportunity to get onto the point, and the second they move forward, there's the damage. TCC gonna go down. They force out the res as well. Getting wow. Wow.
This is not the first time that I've seen this strategy And it is also not the first time that I've seen teams get surprised by this strategy, much like how Bandits just saw the Bastion up on that statue and just completely yeeted themselves out of the game. Like, they don't even want to deal with it right now. But the fact that Whole Snack was able to win that first team fight gives them a huge advantage moving into the Streets phase. Not only did they unlock the cart, but the Symmetra working up to that ultimate, gonna do so much to just protect this team and continue to buy space.
Davin now having that rocket barrage as they are waiting to see if they can find a good position. Callus no longer having the coalescence, though it was forced out to try and keep in that close choke point, as the Blizzard will be activated by Oyster. Going to get a nice freeze onto a few as Davin secures the last final damage needed to force back Whole Snack. And what a great turnaround there, but used a lot of ultimates.
Richard, you said you wanted the Davin. Are you
know.
happy with the Davin?
I mean, I am. Don't get me wrong. Again, it's made me very ecstatic. As there's 4 minutes and 30 seconds, so to see if it can continue keeping this Streets phase at a halt.
They have been doing a phenomenal job with it too, and I'm happy though to see that Whole Snack has moved off of the Bastion. Yes, it was a great strategy to take Bandits by surprise, but is not offering the same type of pressure that we were seeing from Davin on that Pharah. Labradoodle now over on the Pharah themselves. That's huge.
And they need to really find those great positional advantage in the aerial battle as we get a great flux by TCC, gonna take them down. You will see Bandits trying to recover, playing very far forward on the payload. They've lost too many members, and just this Sigma play with the accretion, multiple stuns gaining so much value.
Whole Snack has now taken back the driver's seat for this game. Yes, Bandits had the upper hand when they were the only ones that had the aerial advantage. But now that Whole Snack has really changed that over here, Labradoodle paired with Ritziuk on that Reaper just does so much more work because of how well they get to cover their ground and their aerial bases.
Keeping now the Coalescence on the front side to keep just so much pressure, and healing the Supercharger is there to boost the damage for both sides right now. But you see Logan taking down Jolong so quickly. The rocket barrage generated rapid fast with that extra boost of damage to secure this next checkpoint, as they've got 4 minutes and 40 seconds to work with moving forward.
I don't even think they needed to use all of the ultimates that they did. After we saw Labradoodle just hit the barrage, that should have been game over there. There was nothing that Bandits could really do. All the shields were down. But seeing Labradoodle use the barrage, they're actually going to go over to a higher pick potential here. They recognize there's not that much time left on the clock between the two differentials that these two teams have, and they want to make sure that they finish out this third point as quickly as possible. So going over to that Doomfist.
Aggression in the back by Ritz, but takes down by Oyster, finding the shot in that quick sightline after coming out of the Wraith form. There's a lot of pressure still coming out by Davin on the front side. Now looking for a flank, looking to get right behind Sashwa. Can they get the execution as you see Labradoodle retreating quickly? Nobody gonna go down. Nice job by the healers to secure it, as they will look for a regroup.
Yeah, Callus, Puffin, and Aang have been playing really well together. And I know we've been talking about the DPS a lot, but it's really those supports that have kept this team alive, kept the hopes of Bandits alive. Now, Callus Puffin has the Coalescence here, will be able to get a lot of damage done on the straightaway, and Aang needs to work up to that sound barrier very quickly here.
Atsu taking down the support. The Lucio no longer having that movement speed for Bandits. A great double kill. Tiger, just both supports leading into this fight, doing so much work as these tanks are giving a lot of space for them, as Labradoodle is going to hold on to this Meteor Strike, waiting for that chance to make sure that they cannot get to this golden box of completion, with now Jolong going onto the Wrecking Ball.
Jolong on the Wrecking Ball. You've got the Tracer now, but a huge boot buff here by Jolong. It takes out a huge shield.
Now with the Flux trying to counter, as well as the Meteor Strike in tandem with Labradoodle getting a great follow-up here onto Oyster, who we've seen play the Tracer again in these clutch situations. Ritz going to leave with the Death Blossom, gaining 2, trying to secure it. Nobody going to be there quick enough, as the boot once again onto the Wrecking Ball is going to come out, allowing them to finish it, and will reach another completion.
The reaction times of the Lucios on both of these teams, Tiger for Whole Snack, and of course you have Aang for Bandits, they've been really impressive. A lot of times you get the Wrecking Ball that touches point and they spin to win in order to go into extra innings, right? But both times now we've seen the Lucio have that forethought, have that distinctive, decisive moment where they just say, you know what, Wrecking Ball, you're not touching this point. It's been so fun to watch those Lucios just have that knowledge for the game.
I just like seeing a Wrecking Ball be so hopeful to touch this point, and then having it stripped away in the last second, and you're like,
Completely
why?
stripped away.
Why?
But that's good though. It's good for the team that gets the boop. It's bad for the Wrecking Ball that was trying to get there. But what we've been rewarded with, at least from the viewer's perspective, is some extra innings for Kings Row. We've already stated it can be so difficult in those third point scenarios to just actually finish the map. So both teams, you can tell how evenly matched they are. You can see how much they want this win. Bandits looking to even up the score here with a win on Kings Row, and Wholesnack looking to take the entire thing home.
And as they do have on the defensive side once again here with the double shield composition, they're going to actually go with Ritz on the Reaper, and that may play again. The wall really just trying to sever them apart. You have the crown control if necessary. As we're going to see Oyster, though, with that Widowmaker hit scan. And Daven just jumping right in the thick of things, and that may going to allow a lot of crown control on the front side, trying to just run this clock. But Oyster, just consistent positional advantage, cannot seem to get taken down as Woo does go down finally by Tiger. The chase is there from the Lucio with 1 minute and 20 seconds to try and claim this.
That was really risky though for Wholesnack to take, because they sent their Lucio, the only support they had left after we saw their main support, their Moira, go down. That was the only healing they had left. So they ended up sending it after Oysterheart, and yes, they got the quick kill, but it left the rest of the team without support.
Daven in the back trying to just get some extra gains right now, looking for that support pick. Can't manage to get it. They force the fade out of it as there's still 50 seconds to go. Looking to keep pressure around the bookstore here as there's 47 seconds. Again, they just consistently need to stick near this payload, because once the clock does reach 0, it will maintain an overtime position.
Overtime position is kind of what Wholesnack was looking for here. This means that the next team fight that they have, if they're able to win this might be a really difficult spot for Bandits to be in.
Coalescence trying to get the pick, manages to take them down as they will reset them with 25 seconds. They have one last chance to try and regroup and keep this into the overtime, but these staggers are so well cleaned up with that Maywall.
Maywall working, doing its job right now. It just is able to span the entirety of the streets phase, which makes it difficult for teams to move past or even take this. Like Daven though, trying to get this Death Blossom online. Really
Decent shots on the Lucio, doesn't get the kill. They have to force that Wraith form out, now trying to reposition in the backside, but the Blizzard's there. Can they get out? They managed to. Daven, great job, but nobody's there for the Death Blossom. They are countered immediately. Ritz will gain 1 to take them down as Lab continues to follow up onto TCC with the sound barrier securing it. Supercharger just influencing that entire last defensive hold needed to prevent them from moving any further.
Such a good meta call coming out from Wholesnack. Every single time we have seen Labradoodle hit the Blizzard, Wholesnack has won the team fight, and that last team fight was no exception to that rule here. It wouldn't surprise me if Wholesnack wanted to go with a Mei on the attack as well, just because that might give them that extra team fight win they need in order to get this golden rectangle of victory. It's not far away, Rich. We could be seeing the last map in this series.
And as they come out, it's a lot riding on both of these teams' shoulders. Bandits with, again, 2 minutes and 44 seconds. Slightly better time bank. Almost a minute worth for them to work with. And they can have an opportunity to play a little risky here because of that time bank. With this defensive side of Bandits, again, they're going to bring out the Junkrat here. Not seeing MCE on it, though. Daven going to now have to try and match this specific play prior, and if it's going to gain value.
Well, before we see whether or not it's going to gain some value, we are going to go to a quick pause.
Yes.
Not super sure what happened here, but this gives us some time to break down what could happen in this game, right? Okay, I'll try to keep this as quick as possible because we are going back into the game, right? But look at how much time it might take for Wholesnack to set this up. I don't see them with the Symmetra play yet. Maybe they are going to go for that risky on top of the statue play once again, but I feel like Bandits is going to be akin to that. They're going to sniff that out and make sure that that doesn't happen again.
A lot of damage early with the trap there, just near that bus to hopefully gain an early pick potential to run the clock a little bit. Does get destroyed, not going to gain value as they do see that Bastion play again. The Concussion Mine trying to break the barrier with Ritz looking for value. Hall's going to try and get some advantage, but can't seem to do so. The overwhelming numbers with Atsu getting an early pick, such a distance for the side of Bandits to get back to this point. A second to follow. 6 versus 4 as they look for the third. Ritz going to continue dealing damage. The Mayhem at least able to shut down one member, but that is going to be extremely difficult to try and counter this with the res to hopefully reinforce this just attack, and will do so with 2 minutes moving into this payload. And there's that golden box.
Bandits has to win this next fight if they want a chance at this map. But as it stands right now, Volsnack able to use that first strategy they used on their attack to great fruition here. And it doesn't really feel like at this moment Bandits has anything they can do against it.
On the high ground, there comes again that near tank configuration along with Atsu with the Coalescence. They're really wanting to manage this pivot corner around the bookshop.
Bookshop, a great defensive position here. Just buying some time here. Bandits needs to have their team back together, but is Sigma going to be able to get out of this one clean and free-handed?
Now with the Riptire gaining one of the Tiger, huge pick onto the support. The Coalescence by Atsu most likely going to be led into this fight as they do have a regroup, but no, they're going to hold on to it. Beautiful job by Atsu to keep this. Because they saw those early 2 picks, they're not going to commit this and have it for this next fight.
Great job by Bandits, though, winning the team fight they needed to win. And they've now been rewarded with several ultimates here. Callus Puffin able to use this Coalescence as Volsnack is moving in. There really isn't too much that Bandits can do to outmaneuver this. It's just a straightaway.
Coalescence, both sides, lots of potential for damage as Logan drops the supercharger, but Jolong going to do it as well. As you can see, so much extra damage. Who's going to get the benefit? It will go in favor of Bandits on the start as Aang gets the sound barrier to keep the team alive. But Lab on the high ground with the Forest still trying to rain damage. Can't seem to get this better positioning. And now 30 seconds remains as Holsnack has the last chance to try and push this cart.
Last fight, Labradoodle made a big change, though, in this team composition for the team, which is that Pharah choice now. They're almost to that Rocket Barrage. I hope they get it up quickly because that's going to be the tool we're looking at right now for Holsnack to potentially win this map.
David nearing the Riptire. We've seen huge success with this ultimate and going to lead into it with the Flux now to rise into the air to buy some time. Can they get the opportunity? David does go down, but can the Riptire still yield anything? It's not going to be able to, but Oyster, regardless, on the Doomfist, managing to get the triple. Jolong on the front with such assistance from the supports in the back line to keep them consistently fueled on this front position. Tiger now having to use that Valkyrie to try and keep any remaining member alive. So much damage. Oyster right now popping off and again demonstrating that wide range of character pool to the advantage with Logan knocked aside. Fist to the face as the Tracer comes out in addition by David to get back with the numbers advantage. Even though there's about an even distance for the respawn right now, Lab is willing to switch but won't be able to do so as they force them off. Bandits looking to claim this reverse sweep.
We've got a map 5. 2 series in a row, Rich. We have a map 5.
Ooh. Oh, friends. This is what we love about Overwatch. We are now looking at a potential reverse sweep. Holsnack being able to claim the first 2, and Bandits saying, we are not out of this yet. And I have to say, there is a lot of stress, I feel, on the side of Holsnack as they are now seeing that third map slowly and slowly dwindle away in front of them.
Bandits woke up. I don't think it has more to do with anything. But Bandits just really waking up and sniffing out the strategies that Holsnack wanted to run. I actually think it was too big of a risk for Holsnack to run the Bastion play. If at all. And you could see this actually happen. Bandits was able to win one of those team fights. How is Holsnack going to be able to get that Bastion set up again? So you saw them switch over way too late after the Bastion failed the first time. There wasn't enough time on the clock for them to work up to key ultimates they really needed. Holsnack needed like 2 or 3 good dry pushes, and they really were only afforded 2. And at that second point, they didn't have enough time to really build up to what they needed to. So that was such a big risk. Unfortunately, didn't pay off for them, but we are going to our 5th and final map, which is a control. And the last time we saw a control map, Whole Snack took that pretty convincingly. So
Yeah.
I might have to disagree with you on that one, Rich. I think they still see this third map. It just took a little while to get there.
Very much so. And with the control map, again, like you did mention, that Whole Snack did take it at the start. I think the morale dynamic of this can really help influence bandits. And then with it also being the map of Nepal, you know, it does potentially play some environmental opportunities. And as we saw
Oh, yeah.
in the rookie roster earlier, that there was that beautiful triple kill with a wrecking ball usage, taking that advantage on that environmental kill, swinging it over, and being able to completely change the flow of the match. And it's things like that as we go into this control point that could really be the difference for both of these teams.
We've seen fair play from both. We've seen wrecking balls from both.
Mm-hmm.
We've also seen Lucios from both teams. And when you're talking about Nepal and you're talking about specifically Sanctum, which is that big pit that you mentioned, both teams are probably going to be trying whatever they can to use that pit as a tactical advantage. So bringing in those boopable characters, but we're not going to see Sanctum just yet. Well, I'm not even sure if we're really going to even see Sanctum because the very first map that we're going into for Nepal is going to be Village.
And with Village, there's that control point having the two doorways can make it very difficult for a team to penetrate through, especially with this double shield composition and just really drawing back to gain the advantage against your aggressor.
We've seen a Mei now from Whole Snack, and I think we've seen Mei get teased a little bit on Bandits. But if a team wants to run a Mei, they need to ensure that they take control of this point first. Because of the doorways that you mentioned, that Mei wall can just block off one whole entrance of this point, and then it just gives, and it really brings the fight to you. It funnels the fight into one specific direction where you're taking that extreme advantage. And you'll see as we enter in team preview that Whole Snack and Bandits are going to be fighting for this point so hard in this first team fight because they both have a Mei. They need to take control now.
And with the composition going to be mirrored here, it's really just going to come down to communication amongst the team, coordination, and who can really get that first pick. And I think it's really going to be on that crowd control by the Halt with potential accretion and even a slow from the Mei.
Slow from the Mei going to help a lot here, but those Mei walls actually doing a bit more work.
Ooh, the damage comes out quickly onto Oyster. They have the numbers advantage on the side of Whole Snack. Leading forward, extra damage potential with Lab, focusing that support in the back. Nice wall to give some separation for the support and the tank on the side of Bandits. But Atsu still dealing so much damage with Tiger helping out. These supports just doing a lot of work here as all of the crowd control and management through these two tanks is flourishing on this point, and it will go in favor of Whole Snack here first.
Got a chance to talk about how Callus, Puffin, and Aang were doing well as a support duo for Bandits, but let's talk about Atsu and Tiger just real fast. Tiger has shown us so much flexibility on that flex support role. You've got the Mercy play, you've got the Lucio play. They've shown us a bit of the Batiste as well. So they've really been a great force to be reckoned with here for Whole Snack. Already almost at the Sound Beer online, outpacing the Lucio on the other side.
Practically getting the pick for Atsu onto TCC. Logan just giving some extra assistance as they reach this third marker of the point, resetting the entire team of Bandits, but they're nearing that supercharger over Logan, which can give them that combination of the Coalescence and the Bongos.
That's not so surprising, though, because the way that Bandits is really trying to play this particular game, they really want to build up to the Orisa Bongos first. They're kind of allowing Jolog to get that extra damage in, but they're ready. Whole Snack's ready for this.
Blizzard coming out immediately, Lab knowing that they were going to do the combination. They had it completely managed, but regardless, you will see Whole Snack just completely obliterating every member on the front side, knowing that they were leading in with it. And Aang's going to be the only one with TCC to have an ult, and potentially even the Reaper Death Blossom.
You could see how much of a problem this Mei has been for Bandits to deal with. Yeah, they're running a Mei of their own, but with as much control of the point as Whole Snack has, they're just funneling the fight where they want it to be, and they're segmenting the team so well.
Flux getting multiple members in the air, but Aang holding onto that sound barrier to restrain any sort of assault in the back, but Ritz getting great value on the Reaper regardless of the sound barrier used. And this is the dominance that we saw earlier coming out by Holsnack and just claiming aggression onto the team of Bandits early with this control point.
Early with the control point, and they took so long in that last fight. Bandits doesn't have a chance to come back and fight as a cohesive unit yet. Oysterheart just got this Blizzard online, but there might not be any follow-up for it for when they do reach this point.
Numbers advantage, 4-1 to contest it. They've got the Ryan to get there quickly with that charge, but will go down instantly by Ritz as Logan continues to follow damage. That wall going to prevent anybody from getting onto the point and making sure that it is a 100 to 0%. Bandits really going to have to dig deep here.
I would have liked to see Bandits swap off of the Mei a bit earlier. You tend to lose the helpfulness of that Mei when you're using it on an attack against another Mei yourself. Like, Daven showed us so much prowess with the Pharah. I would have liked to see maybe a bit more of like a crossfire get created there so that Holsnack didn't always have that tactical advantage. But this is where Bandits is going to shine. Here's where that crossfire becomes even more potent, is going to be on this map of Nepal Shrine.
And with the Oyster selection for McCree and Daven, as we've said, on the Pharah, this really gives a great opportunity for them to take this into the map 3, since you're going to see the same composition Holsnack had from the map prior.
This control point is also much wider and it's much larger, so Bandits, they gotta play this a little bit slowly, so you may see Holsnack take control of this point first, but they're really trying to buy whatever time they can to set up this crossfire effectively and appropriately.
A lot of damage from Daven, but the aggression moving forward from Holsnack gaining so much more value. They practically ignored it, but a rocket barrage coming out instantly from the side of Bandits with the res now from Aang, keeping the team in the fight right now. Bandits still on the point, trying to contest, looking to get those picks, but Lab will manage to stick close enough to Sashwa to clear them away from this point and claim it for some percent.
I don't think Bandits played that slowly enough. But the other thing that I think is even more important here is that Holsnack just had the target priority and the target focus they needed. Recognize that Aang was really low, backed them into a corner, and then just took him out so that there was no mercy, there was no more res. And Daven, while they were able to use the ultimate, was really hoping they would have saved it for this moment, because this would have opened up a huge door for them, and now Atsu has the coalescence here.
Oyster not going to be able to use that punch with the Maywall. Nice response going to go down by Atsu on the high ground, having the coalescence leading into this choke point now on the low ground, getting a lot of value with Logan together as they're forcing them away at 35%. Wants the follow-up pick onto the Mercy in the back line, trying to get that wings, but won't be able to as it's 40% and still climbing for Holsnack.
I think that's okay. Tiger able to go take them out, so there's a big stagger here for Bandits, and it's even a bigger one, I think, for Bandits, because Aang does have to rely on another character to Guardian Angel their way back into this fight. Tiger, even though they went down there, just bought so much time for the team, and because they're Lucio, they'll be able to get back to this fight so quickly. Oh my goodness, that wall.
Preventing TCC from getting out. This is not what they need as they're going into last fight territory. Daven on the high ground, though, getting the damage boost by the Mercy to try and just rain damage. Will get the Pharah rocket barrage, but the shield instantly placed by Sashwa as they have to regroup on the side of Bandits. Flux going to be activated. They're just going to go right into it. The coalescence is there by Atsu with the sound barrier as well. They're committing everything on the side of Holsnack to make sure that they can keep into this fight with the Meteor Strike, going to get that Orisa just behind the shield. But no, they place it higher, wanting the follow-up. But the Wraith Form going to divert out of the way of it as they continue to deal significant damage from the side of Bandits with the Death Blossom by Ritz. Can they get a chance to do so? They are not going to be able to. Ritz falling short as it's 97% going into the overtime. Bandits starting to clean up finally in the chaos on this point as Aang gets the res to Oyster to keep this pressure high.
Keep this pressure high, but this is where Bandits can't make any mistakes here. Holsnack already with 99% capture progress. If they're able to take control of this point back, there's no chance for Bandits anymore. So can't make any mistakes here. They're gonna have to make this Gravitic Flux huge. And Holsnack though, Holsnack has a way to come back into this very quickly. They've got the Death Blossom, they have the bongos, they have so much extra damage here. TCC is gonna have to make this the biggest Gravitic Flux we've ever seen.
Moving through that smaller corridor in the back. The early pick by Daven, taking down the Reaper. Ritz is unfortunately out of the fight. Oyster now with a seismic slam leading onto Labs. They've cleaned them off once again and have bought even more time to bring this to a potential map 3.
Well, now they could use the graphitic. That was great. That was great target priority here from Bandits. Oysterheart recognizes their potential and their ability on this Doomfist to just get a quick pick and ensure that they have a numbers advantage. So I love that Oysterheart recognized that, is taking full advantage of that fact. And now Bandits has so many ultimates here. They're going to have to use them because they already have a pick down.
Can they get a res? That's the critical question. They won't be able to, as in the back, Ritz will get the Death Blossom, claiming 2 as Logan makes to take it back. Ants going to take down so many more, switching it back over. The overtime's going to commence. Can anybody touch it in time to keep it? For no, it won't happen. Wholesnack will claim victory on the 5th map, making them the series winner of the Intermediate Grand Finals for Get Good Season 4.
Congratulations, Wholesnack, and huge commendation to Bandits. I think we saw the best of the best here today in this GGEU Intermediate Grand Finals. It was so back and forth, Rich. I actually had no idea who was going to end up taking this 5th and final map. Just going off of historical reference, Wholesnack, they deserved this win. They ended up just having a dominant performance there on Nepal.
And it's just that unfortunate slip up right at the end. They were not ready to see that Pharah v Pharah. It came out with the 6 versus 5 leading onto the point, allowing them to finally have that moment to turn it around. But like you said, major props to Bandits turning it around to give it that extra emphasis on they needed to bring the fight back to Bandits in a whole new way. And it was just miraculous to see them take it back and exert their dominance over it. And like you said, congratulations to Wholesnack, who did just claim victory going into map 5. And just wow, Necro.
This has been a remarkable run for Wholesnack as a team as well. You already pointed out at the top of the broadcast that Wholesnack was sitting at, I believe you said seed number 12 out of 16.
Wholesnack was actually 14.
14. Okay, well, that's even better. I mean, regardless, like the fact that they had a lower seed going into the playoff bracket, it meant that their run through the playoff bracket was always going to be a tough one. But not only did they have 2 3-0 performances for that top 16 as well as the quarterfinals, and their semifinal run, they took out one of the favorites for the entire tournament, Fiery Tail Xenon, which we've seen on broadcast a few times. So I'm so proud of how far Wholesnack has come as a team, and I hope that throughout this season, they really did feel like they got good.
Very much so. And with us now completing this intermediate level of gameplay, we are going to bring you very shortly the amazing grand final of the advanced GG Get Good EU, and it has been an absolute pleasure to cast with you, Necra. I am Rich Rad. We look to see you stick around for even more Overwatch, where you can continue to support this lovely, lovely organization that is Elo Hell, as we will look to see you next time, friends. But stick around for some more Overwatch.